What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluegrass State of Mind, the show where three college roommates talk life, sports, and all the ridiculous things that happen in an apartment we like to refer to as Room 302. We're bringing you stories, hot takes, and the kind of late-night debates that probably should have stayed in the group chat.
So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through our past college life, sports, and everything in between. Let's get into it. This is Bluegrass State of Mind.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. First off, want to go ahead and always tell you all, if you all have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. Don't be like me, watching a couple of YouTube channels, whether it be golf or other podcast videos, and be like, I'm just not going to hit the subscribe button. Literally, it does nothing but inform you that Bluegrass State of Mind has released an episode. So please click that subscribe button. Button. And if you are not following us on our socials, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, please do that as well. And then also you can catch us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. So go ahead and follow us if you have not. Got a good one tonight. A lot more Kentucky news than I think we were expecting at this point of the year to keep talking about Kentucky basketball. But hey, it just keeps rolling around. That's kind of what we're going to hit on tonight. So let's just start right away. We are in uncharted territory, fellas. Territories that we did not think could be possible a couple months ago, maybe even a couple of weeks ago. We land 5-star recruit Ryan Hampton. Ryan Hampton commits to Kentucky. He is the class of 2027. He is not going to reclassify. For those who don't know what that means, basically, he could have reclassified and been part of this 2026 class, but on his Twitter handle, he did say that this is for 2027. He is a 6'6" wing, small forward, shooting guard. He is obviously, like I said, a 5-star recruit. He is ranked the number 1 shooting guard in the country and ranked right number 6-7 nationally in the high school recruiting class for 2027. So, fellas, I mean, we're talking about a guy who on the EYBL circuit is averaging 21 points, 5.5 rebounds per game. For me, all this buzz around Ryan Hampton, I think the first thing is that everybody just sees 5-star and they immediately gravitate towards that. And they're thinking, finally, we land a 5-star. I mean, this literally obviously is the first and biggest recruit that Mark Pope has landed. When you think of 5-star and you think of the big fish, we keep alluding to that big fish analogy, or the big dog, that guy that we are needing that we just haven't been able to see as far as recruits go. So that's big for him. What do you all think about this move for Dark Pope? Are we seeing a different side of Mark Pope? And then we'll get into kind of what these past 2 weeks have looked like. But let's just kind of focus on Colton, looking at Ryan Hampton and what this maybe means not only for BBM but Mark Pope himself. I mean, kind of, I was talking about uncharted territories. It was uncharted territories as far as Mark Pope goes. But now, this only helps his resume. I mean, obviously, we've not seen the guy play in a Kentucky jersey, but being a top 10 high school recruit 5-star, I mean, he's doing something right. So for you, as the fan perspective, I want to get that from you. And then, Mason, I'm going to shift gears and have you take it as maybe the Mark Pope perspective. So, Colton, as a fan, what was it like Sunday mid-morning-ish when you see that we land a 5-star recruit?
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of shocked, right? You're just like, what's going on? Like, this is not, especially this early. You hear about talks of us getting in with all these 5-stars, but none of us actually, you don't see the word committed on any of them. But it was crazy, and it gave you just kind of a glimpse back for a second of, hey, are we back? Like, are we got the Calipari era? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I was talking to Mason earlier, and what saved Cal, which, yes, he had the success early, which was huge. They got him, bought him a long time because you come out Elite 8 Final Four championship, it's going to buy you several years. But what also bought him after the heartbreak losses in the tournaments was knowing that we had a top recruiting class coming in. So where I go immediately to this is, hey, we've got one guy early let's just say we land one other one, and then like another 5-star, and then maybe you can even just land like one 4-star or a 3-star. You get 1 or 2 returners off this current roster that you're about to have, and suddenly, like, Pope's bought himself another year as long as you don't just absolutely butcher this year. I mean, if you can take this team that we have currently to at least a Sweet 16 or show a lot of promise, then you bought yourself another year, right? And that's huge for his confidence, I'm sure. But it's also hope for the fan base, because not only has it been hard to kind of watch the first 2 teams that you put out there, we know that they've played hard at times. They've had some big wins over the first 2 years. But the hardest part was knowing that the current team probably wasn't good enough to win a championship, and knowing that we didn't have anything in the pipeline that was going to win a championship.
Right.
So now, do we? And it's got me more excited. It's like, hey, let's add 1 or 2 more guys. Let's go get a top transfer or 2, and all of a sudden let's get after it. And so, I mean, as a fan, it definitely puts a little pep in my step to think, okay, let's see what we can do from here.
And obviously, we know that Mark Pope has to get the job done. He's got this year to prove himself. He's got to do that. But if anything, it gives you, like, momentum. You know, it gives you that spark, like you said, that, like, oh, this is what it felt like years ago whenever you've seen this. And we just got used to that. Like, we got accustomed to seeing 5-star Kentucky, 5-star Kentucky. And that was a feeling that, you know, we just maybe took for granted. But Mason, talking about the Mark Pope side of things, the one thing that I'm not here for, and I don't want to say, I want to give credit, but look, I'm not here for the people who are saying, well, Mark Pope didn't do this. This was the whole Mo Williams connection. And that may be true, because there is going to be some that probably say, I've not read that, but I'm just expecting. When looking at Ryan Hampton, there was a lot of talk about this whole Mo Williams connection, how he had a great connection with him, and that's why he landed him. Ultimately, though, look back, who brought Mo Williams in? Mark Pope did. So although he may have had that connection, it started with Mark Pope landing Mo Williams. That's just part of building and networking. You know, you got to bring guys in to help you land some of these guys. I mean, I look at John Calipari, immediately I think of Kenny Payne. I mean, like, you got to have, or Orlando NT, like, you have to have those type of guys on your roster or on your staff that has connections and are really good at what they do. So for Mark Pope, Mason, what does this mean for him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's huge. And, you know, to take up a little bit for Pope and some of those people, it may have been all Mo Williams, who knows? But it's not like we just started recruiting this guy once we got, you know, Mo Williams on staff. And I said it back at the beginning, you know, Mark Pope was probably a little bit behind, especially in that first recruiting class, and then probably even in last year's recruiting class, right? I mean, he didn't have the full amount of time that these other coaches did, starting looking at these kids when they're freshmen and sophomores in high school. He probably got a little bit more of that opportunity here with Hampton, was able to build a little bit more of a relationship and develop that relationship over a couple of years. Like I said, I mean, at the very beginning, like, we kind of had to be patient. Yes, he missed out on Stokes, but I think we're hopefully starting to see that. I'm sure Pope has to be feeling better about himself. I mean, it's obviously the biggest week he's had in recruiting since he's been at Kentucky. He goes out and lands arguably the best transfer in the portal, and then comes out and lands a top 10 recruit for next year. So huge for him, you know, just his confidence and the momentum that he has rolling now. Let's see if he can keep it rolling. I mean, I think it's awesome that we are starting to get back into the conversation, and we finally landed one under Mark Pope. So hopefully this can keep the dominoes falling. He can keep some running off. I know me and Colton talked about it earlier. I don't know if you've seen, but actually the number 1 player in the class is Ryan Hampton's cousin.
I did see
Marcus Spears Jr. So, you know, hopefully there's something there. We can close that deal as well, be able to get the number 1 player in the class and the number 6 player, and, you know, maybe round it off with one more and then retain a couple guys and hit the transfer portal. So he's definitely building some momentum and shutting some people up out there. I think this is a good get, and happy for him. I hope he keeps it rolling and can keep landing some of these guys.
Yeah, and then, you know, ultimately, like, I mean, whenever there is a time to praise Mark Pope, I want us to praise him. Whenever there's a time for us to be critical, we're going to be critical. That's what Bluegrass State of Mind. Like, we are going to be real on here. And, you know, that was the one question. Like, that was the lingering dark cloud around Mark Pope that all three of us, I think, can collectively say that we still had questions, that we gave him a hard time about, like, yeah, hey, man, you got to do this. Like, if you're going to be at Kentucky, you've got to land some big dogs. And he's done that. Like you said, the past 2 weeks, we might be seeing a dark Mark Pope era, the mini men, the video he posted, like he had some aces up his sleeve, landing the Milan Momcilovic, securing a number 2 portal class, now landing a 5-star recruit in Ryan Hampton. And I also want to go on record here and say that, fellas, we may not be done. Like, we still have an open vacancy for an assistant. We all know, everybody knows who we went for and have targeted. Jamal Crawford. Now, does that mean that we are going to land Jamal Crawford? No, maybe not. Maybe, but who knows? Like, I do believe that, I don't have any sources, obviously, but I would think that they still are in talks with him. And if not, then maybe he's got somebody in mind.
From what I've read is we are still in talks, but most people are kind of putting together right now that he kind of wants to finish out the circuit in AAU, coaching his son, and focus on that right now. And then once all that's done, talks will kind of ramp up again and hopefully get the deal closed.
But, one has to think that the University of Kentucky still has an open position. Like, it makes you kind of think about the Tyrone Stokes thing. You're playing it out, and it may or may not work. And what we've learned, that if it doesn't work, then that's okay. Maybe something else will come along and we will land somebody that will fit and gel right in with this group. But yeah, I mean, Colton, we've been a little tough and critical on Mark Pope, but the man has answered the questions, at least that we had, as far as recruitment goes. Again, now, he still has to go out and coach this season. I understand that. But for the time being, has he answered a lot of your questions that we had? I mean, obviously, the Milan was a big gift, but now seeing this, I mean, like, this is icing on the cake. I mean, maybe he's found something,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination. I think Pope's done a good job about maybe stepping back and seeing what he needs to do different, probably. I'm hoping that he's going about some of these recruiting pitches a little different than maybe what he did early on. I also think, I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not a coincidence that we hired technically not a GM, but this Kevin Brown or whatever his name is, and all of a sudden we've landed a number 1 transfer portal. And I mean, we've gained, like, we've gathered a team, we've hired Mo Williams. I think it can be a combination of all those things. Maybe JMI has decided, hey, we've got to start throwing in some different things, like if these kids want it. And so I think it's a combination of things. But look, I'm going to give him credit. He's brought in, he's got us a little bit more excited. He's been able to close a couple deals this week with some top players, and that's good because, I mean, if as a fan base, man,
we needed it.
We needed it, but I mean, now you're in a good place because, one, you don't have to have, there ain't going to be any questions, right? You've got a couple big fish now. Those couple years, I know injuries, stuff like that happen. First year happens. That team was very solid. That team was very mature. Talent-wise, I don't think they were a championship type team, but because of some of the bigger wins we had, the injuries were like, hey, if we wasn't got injured, we would have made a run. Last year, you still kind of had that injury bug that was kind of like, oh, well, now, hopefully everyone stays healthy. But if you do, you can't say, well, we just didn't have the big dog. I want to see him get one of these top guys. You stay healthy and you've got the guys, you're going to see whether or not he's good enough.
Yeah, and I think that will, you said best, like, they're pretty much like there's no excuses now. No. I mean, obviously, there injuries you just don't know about, but you have the roster construction that fits your system. And Mason, I sent a message to you all, and I want to talk a little bit about it, but why am I looking at and watching highlights and reading stuff and looking at our roster about 1 to 8 1 through 8 players. And why am I just loving this roster more and more and more? Like, is it the Kentucky fan coming out in me? Now, I'm not jumping to conclusions. I am not going to do that. And I'm not saying we're going to do this and do that. But I'm just watching this and reading and seeing stats. And obviously stats is stats. You got to go out and do it. You got to prove it this year. But, man, like looking at this piece and this roster that Mark Pope has been able to construct, it's a really good roster construction, it looks like. And you also could say that last year. I know, and that's why I'm like, is it just because the Kentucky fan coming in me, or help me out here? Like, are you all there too? I need somebody to be more critical than me. I don't want to come out there and be like, oh, look, we're all Pope lovers now. Like that. It's not the case. But I like this team. Like, look, it fits his system. We've talked a little bit about that, but I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I don't think there's any reason like we have to be critical right now. I think it's okay for us to sit here and look at this roster and be like, hey, I think this is the best roster as far as fits for Pope's system that he's had yet, right? Like you look across the board and yes, we have some wild cards in our roster. Who knows, like Cam Williams, he started coming along last year. Who knows? Is he going to take that next jump? Is he going to kind of be that mediocre player that he was for majority of last season? Who knows? But he's a 3-and-D guy. Right. You look at Braden Hawthorne, another guy who is like, he could be great. He could be mediocre. He could be bad. But then you also have playmakers on the outside between Wilkins and Diallo, which I feel like Wilkins is kind of like that Jackson Robinson, right? Can put it on the floor, can get a basket, can shoot it pretty well. We talked about last week as a team, I think the average 3-point percentage that they shot last year was like 38%, which is really, really good, especially in Pope's system, as many threes as he talked about when he first got here. We want to get up 30, 35 threes a game. Obviously, the team that we had last year could not do that. So I think it's okay to sit back here and be like, man, I really like this roster construction, but let's see if it all comes together and it all pans out, right? Like, I think we have the pieces to be really good, but let's see if it all works out. Because we thought that last year, right? Like, we thought that team last year was going to be really good, and they just didn't gel together, didn't fit his system real well. But I do. I think this roster does, and, I mean, I'm excited about it,
Oh, and going along with that, you can touch on that too. But also, one thing that was very refreshing, and it was just overall for the Kentucky brand, I felt like this past week you got online, and I know that we see the worst of it because we are in the state of Kentucky, and most of our X and Facebook and whatever social platforms you have, if you live in Kentucky, you see everything. But nationally speaking, I think other fan bases and other fans are looking and they're saying positive Kentucky stuff again, like, oh, they landed Milan. Oh, my goodness, they got a 5-star. Like, it was so refreshing to see that brand of Kentucky popping up and other fan bases raising eyebrows like, uh-oh. Like, and I'm not saying that they're saying an uh-oh, because obviously we have Mark Pope at the head of us, and he's got to go prove it. I will always say that. But, man, like, it just brought you back, So, like, do you think that was something that was going on with other fan bases and national media? Like, okay, maybe Mark Pope has found something here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like the Field of 68, like Jeff Goodman, they'd come on and been like, hey, like this could be Mark Pope's last year. Like, they were very realistic of that. They knew it.
They just copied Bluegrass State of Mind.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, but in the middle of it now, you've signed a top transfer and you've signed a 5-star. And they've changed their tone a little bit when they post it. And they're like, hey, it gets a big get, like that, biggest week of Mark Pope's career. I mean, just like that, it's happened. And so, yeah, look, the national media loves when Kentucky fails, right? It gives them something. It's the same way why the Cowboys can be 3-12 and nowhere in contention, and it's the first thing they talk about on Get Up or any ESPN show on Monday morning after the Sunday. They talk about the Cowboys. And why? It's because it's in such a national brand. So whether they're winning or they're losing,
Cowboys?
They're going to talk about them. I mean, that's what they're going to talk about is the Cowboys, whether they're good or they're bad. And Kentucky's the same way. And when they're bad, everyone gets to jump in on it, right? They get to ride the band. But This week, they had to take a step back.
That's right.
Because Kentucky came, Mark Pope grew a beard. And,
That's right.
And
all it took, a little facial hair.
Recruits. Maybe they were like, this guy's a man. Maybe let me go play with him. I don't know what it was.
Was Ryan Hampton the one that he took fishing?
Recruits.
Is that the one he took?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then,
maybe something's working. I don't know
whatever it is, keep it up.
Whatever's happened. But yes, it's been a much more positive. But I'm like Mason, as far as the excitement for next year, I think I'm like him. To me, it's the wild cards, right? It's not necessarily thinking that we're going to be that great, but I don't know. And I think that's more exciting because I think our expectations were so high last year. And I think I've lowered them to the point that it's kind of like, okay, I don't know. Like maybe this team is better than I think. I'm hoping to be surprised. I'm hoping Alex Wilkins comes from Furman and was a freshman and ends up being like the steal of the portal.
Yeah,
like that's where my mind goes. I'm hoping Diallo's a healthy, more true like two-way guard that stays healthy because we've seen Butler get hurt, we've seen Lowe get hurt. And I'm thinking this guy stays healthy. Maybe we actually have a true point guard. Like, I'm thinking all these things about what can happen. I don't know, but I think the positivity of thinking that these things could happen gets me excited.
Well, one thing I do want that you brought up there, and before we get into BSM from the stands, I think that this is an argument that a lot of people make, and it makes sense. It is like you said that you have lowered your standards a little bit. I think that's the argument that a lot of people like to make is is it fair for Kentucky to lower their standards? Because once you start lowering the standards, then are we, the juggernaut? Are we the pinnacle? Are we the face of college basketball once we start lowering standards? And, that's a fair point. So, Mason, I'm going to go and then I want to hear your thoughts on this. For me, I'm right there with you all. I have lowered my standards. Does that mean that I don't still look at Kentucky as what I once did? Maybe not the Kentucky brand, but with Mark Pope as our coach, yes. And I think that I have lowered my standards, but because of that reason, not Kentucky itself, but because of our coach and what has transpired and happened the past 2 years. Now, whether that makes sense or not, that's up to you all. But for me, I haven't lowered my standards of the Kentucky brand. I've lowered my standards of the expectations for Mark Pope just because I've not seen him actually come out and perform. Now that he is starting to perform, now, as far as recruitments go, if he can transition that into wins, then it's like, okay, my standards are going to increasingly go up. And maybe that wasn't fair. Maybe it was fair for Mark Pope. Well, I don't know. I don't even know if that made sense. It's a fine space. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on that? It's a difficult place to be because I totally get that argument. But I also somewhat don't want to say I'm lowering my expectations for the Kentucky brand. You're on mute, Mason.
And I'll say this. I feel like this is kind of stem, not just from Mark Pope's years, right? But I feel like I'm at the point now where I don't want to build myself up so much and then get let down, right? I'd almost just rather be at the point to be surprised. Not that my expectations have changed. It's just at the point, you think back over the last 6, 7, 8 seasons of Kentucky basketball, you look at Mark Pope's first year, nobody really expected anything. We kind of overachieved that first year, right? Last year, everybody kind of expected us to be a lot better, and we underachieved. You look back to the last few years Kyle was here. Everybody, the Reed Shepherd, the Rob Dillingham team, everybody expected Final Four. We didn't get there. So I think I'm just at the point now where it's been so long since we've felt that, right? Which is crazy to say. Because we went through such a magical run, but I don't think it's so much that I've lowered my expectations for the program as I'm just tired of getting my hopes up. And then every year it's I'm just so mad and aggravated throughout the year, right? So at this point, I'm just kind of like, okay, we could be good. We have the potential to be good. I'm just going to sit back and watch and see what happens instead of getting my hopes way up and then getting let
Until
down.
we see a couple games, and then that's whenever we start raising them hopes up. But no, that's a really good point. I like that perspective. You worded that a lot better than I did. I like that perspective. Maybe that's what I was meaning.
Yeah, that's exactly. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Colton, go ahead and give your thoughts, and then lead us into
I-
BSM from the stands.
I agree. That's kind of where I'm at. Like my thing is I want to get more to the point to where I'm not expecting, like the thing that I want to see is that we have a championship roster, because I just don't want to be disappointed thinking I don't want to be the underdog, right? It's more fun to be the underdog, right? You make a Cinderella run, you win games you don't think you're supposed to. And that's more fun to do than to be like, we're going to lose this game because we're not good enough. But I don't want to like lower it to the point that like we should always have that type of roster. But I think I think it's better to move your mindset to realize how tough it is to win, right? I mean, Kentucky was getting 6 5-stars compared to a lot of the SEC teams.
And NIL has changed a lot too.
Like,
That's played a big factor.
NIL, transfer portal, all those things have changed, and it's just tougher to win.
It is.
Right? So, like, I want to see that we have a team that is good enough to win, but I also want to be able to have the expectation that's like, it's just tough to win. You've got to be really, really good to win, and there's no room for error. Yeah. And if you can kind of balance those things, then you can have the expectations that like we should be Kentucky, like we should have a good enough team, but also realize that you know it's just gonna be tough to get all the way.
Yeah, it's hard to win. What is it? 6 games to win a national championship? I mean, it just is. It's hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Colton, take us into BSM from the stands. What do we got this week?
All right, for BSM from the stands, we're gonna give a shout out to our buddy over with Chris Adams. He gave us a shout out. Go make sure and follow his podcast. But he commented on one of our posts, on one of our reels, and he said, I predicted on my live with Austin, also from BBN Unfiltered, go give him a follow, that we would go 25-10, 5th in the SEC regular season, semifinals of the SEC tournament, and Sweet 16. He follows it up by saying, if Big Blue Nation is happy with that, that is what we are now. We're no longer the greatest tradition in history of college basketball. If Pope does that or worse, and we bring him back, then that is what we are now, mediocre. So it kind of goes along with what we were just saying.
Right. Yeah, it does.
Right. I mean, it goes along with what we were just saying. So let's put, I guess that's kind of where I'm at, because honestly, that would probably be close to my prediction. You know, like a 4th in the SEC, 25-10, probably right at, and Sweet 16, I think, like, I feel like Elite 8 might be the ceiling, but Sweet 16 should probably be like a reasonable expectation. And let's just say, I'll ask you guys, if that occurs, everything that he just listed, are we happy this coming year? Like, are we honestly happy? Or, like, and if we are, like, should we be happy or should we not be? But, you know, just me personally, I think it all depends on his recruiting. I'll just be honest with you.
That's what I was going to say.
I think it does. I think if we get to the Sweet 16 this year, and I'm looking and saying we've got 2 5-stars and a 4-star coming, and I know that we're going to have some money to bring in a couple transfer guys, and we have like a Wilkins or someone that averages like 15 or 16 this year and comes back, and Moreno stays for a 3rd year, then I'm like, okay. Like, I'm okay with it this year, and then next year we're all in. But if I sit there and think, you know, say we don't get another recruit, say this roster doesn't turn out to be what we thought it's going to be, and Sweet 16 was they have to make a Cinderella run to get to the Sweet 16. I'm probably going to be a little more sad. Like I'm going to be like, it's the same thing over and over again, right? We're playing the same wheel. Like it's okay, but not great, and that's where we're at. And he's right. Mediocre is probably the word. We're okay. That's it. We're just okay. But and I don't want to be just okay. I want to be great. UConn's still doing it. Duke's still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be great. So that's kind of where I'm feeling on that. So either one of y'all can take it.
Yeah, I mean, if we do go, let's just take it for what he said. If we do go 25-10, Sweet 16, fourth, make the semifinals, then yeah, I mean, I'm not satisfied. You know, we are, like you said, we're mediocre, and it's different if he done that in year 2, but at that point we would be heading into year 4. And let's just take it as if that he didn't have top recruits, because I'm not going to go down that route, because that's exactly what I was going to say, is what you said. But it's time to move on. It is, you know, and because you can't keep harping on, well, the injury this, the injury that. Well, you also can say you can rebuttal that with a lot of different things, whether it be, you know, well, we won some games that we probably shouldn't have won. We had a lot of late comebacks, so some last second shots that we've made. Bringing in Jaden Quaint's a guy who has torn an ACL, building the roster this past year with guys that are not typically in that type of Mark Pope's offense. You know, it could have been, you know, questionable. Like, did we just waste a year with him trying to do something different when he should just stuck to what he does best, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I think that is a very reasonable take, and something that I would agree with, that one being that we should never be okay with being mediocre. I think that's a difference between lowering expectations of the feeling that Mason was describing. Like, I just don't want to give myself that feeling. That's not lowering expectations, and that's not meaning that we're okay with being mediocre. That's completely false. That's not the thing going on here, especially, well, for my opinion, is that is the definition of mediocre. 25-10, not bad whatsoever, but it's not the standard. It's not your, like you said, a Duke, a UConn. So, yeah, I mean, it all goes back to his portal class and recruitment class. I think that is the unknown right now. But if that does come to fruition, then I would have to say, yeah, it's time to move on. I know that there's a lot of people that probably don't want to hear that conversation and are like, are you kidding me? But, you know, you look back at what we have set the standard so high, that, you know, that it is what it is. You know, once you start going backwards, like you had mentioned before here on here, Colton, then yeah, that's whenever you're starting to say, hey, we're fine with just being mediocre. We're fine. And then that's when you get in that dangerous territory. So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think, like you both said, like if it gets to the end of the season and that's the case, and he has the number 1 overall recruiting class, you know, and has the potential to retain a couple guys and go Atlanta stud in the portal, then maybe it's a little bit different. But still, at that point, like it's year 3. All right, it's time to put up or shut up. Like, you haven't done anything to prove that you are the University of Kentucky since you've gotten here. All right, like I think for me, if that's the case, like if you're only going to reach the Sweet 16, you have to, you know, be in the top 10 pretty much majority of the year. And we're starting outside of it, you know, so if we can move into that top 10, or, you know, finish first in the SEC or win the SEC tournament, you know, you have to do something to prove that you're a Kentucky and you're back. And in my mind, like, I just keep sitting here thinking to myself, like, you look at Alabama when Nick Saban left, and you look at them now with DeBoer. Like, it's almost what we're going through right now, right? Like, they were a powerhouse. They were a staple. Everybody was scared of them. Nobody wanted to play them. They came in every year, and you knew they had a chance to at least go compete for a national championship. Alabama's not at that point now in football. We're not at that point now in basketball, you know, and this is going to be what? Is this going to be his 3rd year? 4th year? DeBoer's?
Yes, it's his 3rd year.
3rd year. So, I mean, we're kind of in the same boat, right? Like, if you don't get us back to that point where we're supposed to be.
A bunch of Alabama fans, that I would expect them to give the same answers as we're giving.
Exactly. Because, you know, it's at that point now, like, you've had 3 years to prove yourself. And if you can't prove that you can get us back to that top, where we're supposed to be. Like I just listed off earlier, SEC regular season champ or SEC tournament champ or, Elite Eight, you make a deep run in the tournament. Then yes, it's time to move on. Like you came in, you gave it all you had, but at this point, you're not getting us back to where we need to be. So let's go look for a new face.
But for the time being, we are seeing positive steps. We're building that ladder.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing things move in the right direction going into next season.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable enough. I've thought about this actually. I read that and I'm like, what my prediction is. If y'all want to get, I don't know what I would say right now. Colton, do you know what you would say? I see you shaking your head. If you know, or you just
does the full schedule come out?
The full schedule has not came out yet. So
we do play Virginia at Virginia.
Yes, we do that.
ACC
Guaranteed loss for us.
I don't think North Carolina and Indiana are neutral sites, and Kansas.
Right.
North Carolina, Kansas.
Looks like Kansas
Indiana
first.
are all neutral sites technically.
Well, I'll tell you what. Whenever the schedule does come out, that's something we can do. We'll predict, and that will be able to help us out. Well, let's take a little break from the Kentucky stuff. After this segment I've got for us, we'll come back and we're going to do I'm sure everybody who's listening, if you've not, we're going to play this little roulette game of Kentucky roulette and kind of share our teams with that. But I have got a little, not a game, but a scenario for you all I thought was interesting. This is called Take It or Leave It. Okay? All right. So you have the opportunity to win $5 million. Okay? $5 million. Life-changing money.
Yeah.
Life-changing money for not only you, but your kids and your kids' kids. I mean, that's a lot of money, fellas. No taxes. I mean, $5 million straight up. Nothing taken out of it.
Cash money.
Cash money. Okay? The catch is, if you accept one of these challenges that you have to do with it and you fail, you have to spend 1 year in prison. Okay? So if you accept one of these challenges, you have to spend 1 year in prison. Are you going to take the deal? You have 3 options. So here are your options and your challenges. Your first challenge is you have to get 1 hit off of Paul Skeens in 30 pitches. 1 hit. Can't be a foul ball. Has to be a hit.
Gotta be in play.
Wait,
gotta be in play.
Are we talking about, okay, it just has to be in the field of play. We're not talking about an actual base hit. Like, you just have to put the ball in the
They can
field of
catch a
play.
pop-up.
Yes, it has to be in play. That's all I'm going to ask. It can't be a foul ball. You have to put it in play. Okay?
Wait, we only pick one of these?
You only can pick one of them.
Okay.
Okay, so
Can
you
it
got
be a bunt?
That's what I was going to ask.
Cannot be a bunt. Cannot be a bunt. So you have a Paul Skeens. You have 30 pitches to put the ball in play. That's your first challenge. Your second challenge and option is going to be score 1 basket on Victor Wembanyama in 30 attempts. And he is actively playing defense. I mean, actively playing defense.
Okay.
And then your last challenge option that you can choose is you have to make a hole-in-one from 100 yards in 1 hour. You have 1 hour. You can hit as many balls as you want, but you have to hit a hole-in-one. So if you succeed, you win $5 million. And if you fail, you spend 1 year in prison. So I'll repeat these. You have the Paul Skeens challenge where you have 30 pitches to make a hit in play. The Victor Wembanyama challenge, you have 30 attempts to score a basket or make a hole-in-one in 1 hour from 100 yards. Now, keep in mind, let me run through these. A decent golfer might hit 75, 100 balls in an hour. And even great players, the odds of you making a hole-in-one are it's a little tiny hope. You got to take there's a lot of luck that goes into that. Victor Wembanyama is 7'4" with an 8-foot wingspan. And then Paul Skeens is throwing 100 miles per hour with nasty breaking stuff. Are you all taking one of these challenges for $5 million? If not, you have to spend 1 year in prison. Mason, let's start with you.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. This is interesting. Okay.
Listen.
What you going with? Going with?
Y'all know I'm a gambling man, right? I could suck it up and take 1 year in prison for a chance at $5 million. Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness. Here we go.
For $5 million?
You not even answered the question yet. Which one are you taking?
I'll try all three of them.
No, you got.
I don't care which one.
No.
You taking 3 years in prison?
You
For
got to pick
$15
one.
million? Oh, man.
Which one are you picking?
I'm picking. Listen, I think the most obvious choice here for me would have to be try to score a bucket on Victor Wembanyama. Just because, like, I know the man is 7'4". Listen. I know the man is. How many attempts do I get? 30.
Get 30. I mean,
yeah. Come on now. I can get one bucket on Victor in
you might
30
be
attempts.
Fast enough to be able to get to a spot to get a ball up, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be your best chance.
Let's just think though,
that's what
Mason.
I'm going
This
with.
man has an 8-foot wingspan. So you may be. How tall are you? 5'11"? How tall are you?
Yeah.
5'11". Okay.
Yeah.
Mason, when you think you're 5 steps ahead of Victor Wembanyama,
Oh, dude, I know that.
You're level with him.
Guess what?
I don't think you're scoring. I don't think you're scoring.
Listen.
Especially a layup. A layup, no, not a chance. If any chance you would have, it'd be like a backwards, hook shot or something.
Backwards.
Oh, you'd have to completely fake him out and throw it behind your head or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do like a little step back rainbow three.
No, you ain't doing a step back. He is still going to block that. You're going to have to do something crazy.
I kind of imagine Mason one-on-one and like racing to the corner real fast and then racing to the other corner real fast.
Yeah, I'll just wear him down.
Running like a mice
yes.
with a cat trying to catch him or something.
Really, I think that would be his best chance is if he like went from side to side real fast to where he could use his speed to maybe create just enough separation, like you said, to then throw up a rainbow shot.
Little crazy fadeaway falling out of bounds right over his 8-foot arms. Yeah, it's just one. And if he wants to step back, I'll just step back at half court. I can make 1 out of 30 from there. Don't guard me, brother.
Oh, he's actively guarding you. All right. Well, we'll see what some other people think in the comments section about that. Colton, are you choosing anything, or are you just saying I'm good? I'm good.
Man, in my prime, I actually would. In my prime, I actually would take on probably the Schemes challenge. Just put one in play. Because here, okay. Let me ask you this though: like, if he throws a slider out of the zone, does it count as a pitch? Like,
you get 30
pitches,
30
strikes.
You get 30 attempts. You just get 30 attempts.
Because if I take
that he
15
swings
balls, that's what I'm saying. Is it 30 that I swing at? Okay, yeah. Say 30 I swing at.
Yeah,
because
I guess
if I don't swing, it's a ball. Or say it's either got to be a strike or I swing at it.
If it's a strike, it counts.
It's a strike, it counts.
Yeah.
Right, because if he throws a slider and I don't swing at it, I don't want that to count as one of my 30. But listen, I'm telling you, like, as far as hitting a baseball goes, if he throws 15 pitches of 100 miles an hour into the strike zone, like, I'm putting one in play.
He said I'm putting one in play.
Hoden Johnson would love this segment.
What's his ERA? What's Paul Skeen's ERA?
Early on in our podcast when we did, we talked about something like Verlander. I said something about like I'm getting a hit on for it. I'm putting it in play. I think we did the same thing. Something.
No, we done done this one, but we done something with Justin Verlander.
And he listened to it, and he was like, "You're not putting one in play on Verlander. Stop. You're not." And we still mess about it today. Like, he's like, "I'm sure you're planning on hitting a home run on Verlander today."
I think my favorite thing about this segment, Mason, is that Colton Bulldog opened up with in my prime.
Listen, the one thing I did not do much of is strike out. And we face guys that threw 90 and plus in high school. So I didn't strike out though much. Like, that's one thing. I may not hit it anywhere, but if we're talking about just putting it in play 30 times, I feel like I can close my eyes.
Well, listen, I am quite the opposite. You all know I am not the betting man. So I'm going to walk home to my wife and children and say, guys, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to live with me for a full year without in prison, and we're just going to take the income that we got. I'm not taking any of these challenges. I'm sitting here thinking, first off, the baseball challenge. I never was a hitter. I love playing the field. That's where I felt like my best self was at in baseball. The hole-in-one challenge, that's just not going to happen. It's all pure luck. And, obviously, if there was a chance that I had at anything, it would be the Victor Wembanyama. But even at that, I don't think that, like, I just sit here and I'm watching these guys in the NBA and watching Victor. And it's like when you think you have 4 or 5 steps ahead of him, he is level with you. So I just don't know that I could do that. And I'm not going to chance being a year in prison. I don't know how I would do that. I don't think that would do well with me, being a year in prison. But yeah, so I'm passing. I'm going to be that guy. I am going to pass. So, let us know in the comment section. Are you selecting one of those? Do you think that Mason is wilding out on that? Colton in his prime is his prime. I feel like people are going to be like, what does Colton's prime look like? How many home runs, base hits did we have? They may be getting stats.
I got drafted by the Braves.
Yeah.
In the 7th round.
How many rounds of baseball are there? I don't know.
Then he pulled his hamstring.
There's like 15 rounds of baseball.
All right. Mason, get us back into Kentucky stuff on this roulette stuff.
All right. So I'm sure most of y'all had seen, but I sent them the link earlier. I think Dylan's going to try to post it whenever we release our episode. Y'all play along, post it in the comments whenever we get done. But there is a big blue roulette wheel. So if y'all want to pull that up real quick and we'll get into it.
Mm-hmm.
And basically you can do it stats on or stats hidden. We can just do stats on for now just to make it a little bit easier.
And you only get one spin, right?
Yeah, we'll just do one spin each. But there's going to be some guys on here that you've probably never heard of because it goes way back. But we'll do stats on. You can go ahead and spin. It'll probably take you a minute or two to build your team, and then we'll talk about our teams and see who you all think has the best team.
So what are we going to talk about while we're doing this?
Wow, my first spin is not good.
I will say...
How does this work exactly?
So did you click the link?
Yeah.
Click Play Classic Stats On.
Yeah, I did.
And then click Spin Roulette.
Okay.
And then you'll pick one guy from each spin. All right, and you have to build your lineup.
I don't know any of
Colton, have you not played this?
I know, some of them are...
I don't know any of these guys. What the...
Yeah, some of them are like old.
There's a lot of guys on here, like he said, that you won't know. But, you can just look at their stats. That's what I've had to do before. I just look at stats and go from there.
So it's listed from best to worst?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I don't know a bunch of these guys.
Yeah.
Okay. After you choose it,
Oh, man.
Now what? Wait, hold on. Okay. So
And then you scroll down and hit Assign to Position.
Assign to... Okay.
Yeah.
My team is not going to be great.
Oh, mine's going to be garbage.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share mine while they're finishing out. So my record was 30-10. I went to the Elite 8. My starting point guard is Rajon Rondo. My shooting guard is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. My small forward is Jamal Mashburn, which is a solid lineup, those first three. But then I get to my power forward. I don't know this guy. He was part of the 75-76 team, Mr. Mike Phillips. And then my center is part of the 1962-63 team, Mr. Don Rolfs. Don't know those last two guys, but I went to the Elite 8, 30-10. Mason, you done?
Yep. I got 35-5 in the Final Four. And I have Mike Casey at point guard, part of the 70-71 team. I have Tony Delk at shooting guard, 95-96.
Solid.
Brandon Boston Jr. at my small forward, not great. Cliff Hagan at my power forward, 53-54, average 22-14. And then Dan Issel at center, 68-69, who averaged 25-14.
Yeah, that's what got you there to the Final Four.
My 4 and 5 averaged 28 rebounds between those two.
Yeah.
How far did you make it, Mason?
Final Four.
I went 33-7, Elite 8.
Who'd you have?
I had Derek Miller as my point guard, average 17.7. I have Jody Meeks as my shooting guard. but it was the 07-08 Jody Meeks and not the 08-09. So he only averaged 8.8.
Mm-hmm.
I have Jamal Mashburn.
Solid.
As my small forward. I have Bob Burrow listed as my power forward from the 1954-55 team, averaged 17 and a half. And I have Dan Issel.
Oh my goodness, y'all great.
There you go.
You take Dan Issel off your team. So I made it to the Elite Eight without Dan Issel. I mean, that's pretty good.
Your lineup was pretty good the first three.
Yeah, first three was solid. With Shea, Rajon, and Mashburn.
You do it with football too, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't
We have
done
to
that
do
one.
that in football
But
season.
yeah, everybody try it out. Dylan, I think you're going to try to post the link with it. Comment your teams in the comment. I know there was a challenge going around to see if you could get to 40-0. So see if anybody can do it.
Apparently, they said that you can't go 40-0 without Dan Issel, but then there's talks that you can do 40-0 without him.
There's a filter on there where you can do without Dan Issel.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the last segment for the night, and we're going to talk a little bit of Knicks Spurs action. Now, when this episode is released, they have finished up, obviously, Game 3. We were recording this the night before. Currently, as we are speaking right now, it is in the third quarter with a minute and a half left with the Spurs up 89-84. But obviously, the talk around everything is just not, I guess, the pure domination, but you see this Knicks team having talks of being on one of the best runs in modern day basketball, winning 12 games in a row. The way they're doing it with the guys that they have, when you look at just star power, obviously, yes, you do have Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, but when looking at, maybe that top 100 list, top 50 list, top 25, are they on one of those lists? Maybe, maybe not, depending on where you start at. But the Knicks going into this game 3 were up 2-0. If they win this game, it'll be 3-0. If not, then it'll be 2-1. But fellas, what's your headline story here, Colton? I want to start with you. Like, what's the storyline for you so far in this 2 games and most into the third that we're watching here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the storyline is just how much it's brought, the excitement back. I mean, there's been so much excitement around this series, and one, because you had the Knicks, just such a big brand that's not been good for a while, and you always see the stars at all the games, and so it's added the celebrity presence, right? There's not celebrities at OKC, right? You don't have a bunch of celebrities sitting sidelines in Oklahoma City.
I mean, Donald Trump is at this game. Donald Trump. First
at this game.
First president.
First sitting president to attend the NBA Finals. But I mean, just to me, what I love about the Knicks is that also is like you're getting to watch basketball from not like your common star, right? Jalen Brunson's a star, if you want to say that. Karl Anthony Towns is a good player, but we're not talking about LeBron James. We're not talking about Michael Jordan. We're not talking about Kobe Bryant. We're not talking about any of these guys in this series. But what you have on the opposite side is possibly a future one of those, right? That you're getting to see for the first time in this situation. You're getting to see like the LeBron getting to the NBA Finals against the Spurs and the Tim Duncans, that like an old school basketball team, and he got swept, but that was his first experience. But now you're talking about Wemby. I don't think it's going to be Wemby's last. Right? Obviously, LeBron went on to win 4 more. I mean, I think the same story is going to be similar for Wemby's career. And it's just, man, so many headlines. I mean, it's been good for NBA, Brandon. I am not a big NBA guy, but I have definitely been locked in on this series. And it's brought me back to more excited. I mean, man, the atmosphere before this game, it made you think of a high school district championship or I mean, you remember, DG, when our junior year, how we got to the game 2 hours early and there wasn't a seat left in the gym because it got so, it was crazy, right? And they showed them running out, and, it was already packed. They had light shows going on. I mean, just insane stuff. But the branding itself is what stands out. It's unreal how much it's helped the NBA brand.
I got two hot takes. But before I get to my takes, Mason, any thoughts on this series alone?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the main thing, Colton kind of already mentioned it, but you're kind of saying like you have Jalen Brunson, you have Karl Anthony Towns, but they're not really like I would consider either of those guys top 10 players in the league necessarily, right? Like not your Wemby's, not your SGA's, not your Jokers, not your Lucas, Tatum's, all these guys that it's just it's cool to see again, right? That you don't have these so-called super teams, right? Like the Knicks have been able to make it. They're not a super team, right? They don't have all these stars on their team. And then you have the other side, like you said, Victor Wembanyama, and obviously they have a great young core. They're probably going to be around for a long time. But it is just awesome seeing, the Knicks being good again, all the excitement that it brings. I know y'all probably seen it, but I think the average ticket price tonight was like $9,000 or something on average.
Yeah, it actually went down. I think if there was like a 50%, it dropped down 50% because of something about Trump. I don't know if that's true or not, but I read something. I put something on. I typed it on Google, the ticket prices, and it had said that the
most one I saw was like 3,900 or something.
Yeah, so the cheapest nosebleeds was starting around 3,900 to 4,900. The most expensive courtside was 6,500 to 100K. But I mean, just absolutely insanity. But in regards to my hot take, sorry, I was pulling something up here. This might ruffle some feathers. And the ones that, well, let me say again, this may ruffle some feathers. I'm going to look directly in the camera. And it's probably going to be more of your old heads, I think, really. I think that this series has been, and Richard Jefferson actually said this, and I was like, I totally agree with that, and I'm going to say it. I think this series, the refs have allowed it to be too physical. Way too physical. And the reason why I say that is because when you're sitting here watching this, I'm not saying that I'm not about physicality, but when you start letting this physicality overtake the game, it takes away the skill part of it. And the ones who are going to be like, what in the world? That's basketball. That's back in my day. That's all we done. And the ones who say that, are above the age 30 to 35. B, you're probably not good at basketball. And the reason why I say that is because when you think of rec league basketball and you think of individuals who are not the most skilled in basketball, how do they play basketball? Mason, let me ask you, how do they play basketball?
Who? The guys that aren't skilled?
The guys who are not skilled.
Oh, it reminds me of like in high school, you go to like advanced PE class and the football players will be in there.
Exactly.
And I mean, they are just trying to rough you up and foul and make it physical.
And that's okay, but it's every single possession. Like you're not even letting these guys get to their spots. Like you are taking heads off. It takes away, again, what I will say, the skill aspect of it. And that's whenever I think that you start hurting the game of basketball, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people, that's what they love. And if that's what you love, that's okay. But that's not basketball. That's football. If you want to play football, go play football. That's where you can be as physical as you want. Again, I'm not saying that there should be no physical aspect to this game. There are some guys in some plays, you need to take a guy, not out, but you need to set the tone. But it's literally every possession. It truly is. Even game 3, I was watching, like they're ripping, like Jalen Brunson cannot even take 2 or 3 dribbles without Stephon Castle literally pushing him, not just bumping him. I mean, pushing him and not letting him move at all. And
it happened at the very beginning of this game. Do you remember that? And then Jalen Brunson got called for an offensive foul.
Exactly. And then whenever you do that, then the offensive player, obviously you're going to retaliate. And you can say, well, that's just playing the game. That you're trying to get, you are. But again, I go back to it is it's just not, it's not basketball, in my opinion. It's not. So there may be a bunch of people who disagree, but that's my opinion on that. Do y'all have an opinion on that?
I mean, I've agreed. I mean, watching some of them, there's been some excessive. Definitely. But I will say this. I mean, you will look back and you'll see that they're being physical, but the talk after neither game
has been that right.
But it hasn't been that the refs decided the game.
Exactly. And that's because they've allowed it on both sides.
Right.
And that's fair.
That's what they're going for.
If they're going to do it, that's fine. If you're going to let it be physical, let both.
For sure. There's definitely been excessive. I mean, what I've watched, 100%, there's been a lot more that they haven't called, and they've kind of let it get. But if they've let it do it for both sides, and you haven't had the conversation, you probably won't on this game either, the way it's going, that you're going to say that call is what affected it, or that those free throws are, So, I mean, and that's what they go for in this. I mean, that was their intention. So, right now, I mean, there's another guy just went flying. Like, I feel like there's bodies on the floor constantly. So,
Mason, do you agree with that statement, or do you have any hot takes?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I just think whenever you're watching that type of basketball, like you're seeing guys getting, shoved outside of screens or getting shoved off screens, like it's like ugly basketball, right? Like these are the best players in the world, the most talented players in the world. Like call it fair so they can showcase their skills, because whenever it's like that, it's really hard to do that. Like if people don't play basketball and you've never played basketball, you don't understand how hard, how different that is. Like,
and they are calling it fair, but you're saying though, because they're letting it go on both sides, but you're saying like call the game the way it's supposed to be called. Don't let it just go and be like, okay, we're just going to let them be physical, but we're going to let both sides be super physical. I agree.
Yes, because like here's the thing, like as a point guard, if I have a guy guarding me and he's got both hands on me the entire time, right? Like hip checking me, he's got both hands on me. What am I supposed to do, right? Like I can't get around him, obviously, because he's just got both hands keeping me wherever I go.
And as soon as you retaliate, the ref, like they play in the hands of the defensive side, and that can be very aggravating, especially if you are a big offensive player. And again, I'll say it again. I want to reiterate myself for the ones listening. Like you got to have some of those players. You do. But it's literally every single possession almost. And it's great basketball to watch in general this series, but I just have kind of grown tired from it. I'll be honest with you. I have lost my second hot take. I don't know what it was.
I've got another hot take.
Okay.
What if they're doing it? I mean, you also got to think this game, this series is not as exciting if Wemby's sitting on the bench with 3 fouls, or Karl Anthony Towns is sitting on the bench with 3 fouls in the first quarter, or something, and they very well could have called 3 fouls on both of them in the first quarter. I mean, the way that they're on top of each other.
I mean, goodness.
For ratings wise, I mean, you don't think that there's a little bit that says, hey, we want their stars out there? Yeah. We want to see Wemby the future. We want to see Jalen Brunson in the Knicks, New York. We want to see, I mean, you can say what you want, but I mean, I can guarantee you there's been a few calls that say, hey, we got to make sure that some of these guys are on the court. So, I mean, unless it's guaranteed, like,
No, I mean, that's a good point. You can look at it that way. And I said, oh, my goodness, because I'm watching this and there's just more bodies. And three guys just hit the ground. Like, I mean, out of nowhere trying to get a rebound. I mean, it is just hack a foul. Oh, that's also another thing I can't stand is the way that they hack Robinson cheap. I mean, I was like, what are we doing? I don't know. And there is strategy to that. I will say this too, though. Not a hot take, but just in general, obviously the ones who have followed us and know me, I'm a huge LeBron fan. If he plays next season, I'll still be wherever he goes. But if he was to retire, if he was to call it quits, I am highly considering, not this season, because I don't want to jump on the bandwagon and be like, oh, you're just a I don't want to do that. Not this season. But I was talking to Claire and I was just like, I don't know why, but I love watching the Knicks. Like even before Jalen Brunson, and Karl Anthony Towns, like even on Christmas Day, a lot of times the 2 games I would watch would be LeBron and the Knicks. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the name, the brand. I don't know. Like I just like, I like watching the Knicks, and I love the colors. I might be a Knicks fan once LeBron retires. Not going to jump on the bandwagon because we don't know what they'll be like next year, so not going to take credit for that. But hey, I might be shouting, "Go New York, go New York, go!" Who knows? Any last thoughts? Good episode tonight. Anything else before we close out?
Nope.
All right. Well, hey. Again, guys, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on our socials. We appreciate you all. We love doing this, talking some sports and Kentucky stuff in particular. As always, though, go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cat.
That's a wrap for this episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be on the lookout for our social media pages and be sure to follow them. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and conversations coming your way. And if you really loved it, make sure to share it with a friend. From the hills to the hollers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that Kentucky spirit strong.